Good evening, my friends. I am here to share the Amplified Holy Bible and with the Navigator's Bible reading plan, and I am reading to you today Deuteronomy chapter 25. And it says, the title is Various Laws, and it says, if there is a controversy between men, and they go to court, and the judges decide the issue between them, and they judge in favor of the innocent and condemn the guilty, then it shall be that if the guilty man deserves to be beaten, the judge shall make him lie down and be beaten in his presence with a certain number of stripes in proportion to his offense. He may have him beaten 40 times, but no more. He is not to be beaten with more stripes than these, and he is not to be degraded, that is, treated like an animal, in your sight. You shall not muzzle the ox while he is threshing to prevent him from eating any of the grain. Check out 1 Corinthians chapter 9 verses 9 and 10 and 1 Timothy chapter 5 verses 17 and 18. All right, verse 5. If brothers are living together and one of them dies without a son, the widow of the deceased shall not be married outside the family to a stranger. Her husband's brother shall be intimate with her after taking her as his wife and perform the duty of a husband's brother to her. Verse 6. It shall be that her firstborn son will be given the name of the dead brother, so that his name will not be blotted out of Israel. Where it says be given, other literature has the word stand on. All right, verse 7. But if a man does not want to marry his brother's widowed wife, then she shall go up to the gate of the city where court is held, to the elders, and say, my brother-in-law refuses to continue his brother's name in Israel. He is not willing to perform the duty of a husband's brother. Then the elders of his city will summon him and speak to him. And if he stands firm and says, I do not want to marry her, then his brother's widow shall approach him in the presence of the elders and pull his sandal off his foot and spit in his face. And she shall answer and say, so it is done to that man who does not build up his brother's household. In Israel his family name shall be the house of him whose sandal was removed. If two men, a man and his countrymen, are fighting, and the wife of one approaches to rescue her husband from the man who is striking him, and she reaches out with her hand and grabs the aggressor's genitals, then you shall cut off her hand. You shall not show pity for her. You shall not have in your bag inaccurate weights, a heavy and a light, so you can cheat others. You shall not have in your house inaccurate measures, a large and a small. You shall have a perfect, full, and just weight, and a perfect and just measure, so that your days may be long in the land which the Lord your God gives you. For everyone who does such things, everyone who acts unjustly without personal integrity, is utterly repulsive to the Lord your God. Remember what Amalek did to you along the road when you came from Egypt, how he met you along the road and attacked all the stragglers at your rear when you were tired and weary, and he did not fear God. Check out Exodus chapter 17, verse 14. All right, verse 19. All right. In verse 18, where it says fear God, other versions have or reverence. All right, verse 19. Therefore, when the Lord your God has given you rest from all your surrounding enemies, in the land which the Lord your God gives you as an inheritance to possess, you shall wipe out the memory of Amalek from under heaven. You must not forget. I'm going to continue on with chapter 26. The title is Offering First Fruits. And it says, Then it shall be, when you enter the land which the Lord your God gives you as an inheritance, and you take possession of it and live in it. Verse 2. That you shall take some of the first of all the produce of the ground, which you harvest from the land, that the Lord your God gives you, and you shall put it in a basket and go to the place where the Lord your God chooses to establish his name. Presence, where it says place. Some scholars believe this refers to Jerusalem. Others suggest the tabernacle. This is not to be confused with the annual offering of the first fruits. All right, verse 3 says, You shall go to the priest who is in office at the time and say to him, I declare this day to the Lord, my God, that I have entered the land which the Lord swore to our fathers to give us. Where it says, my God. So with Greek, Hebrew, your. Verse 4. Then the priest will take the basket from you and place it before the altar of the Lord your God. Verse 5. And you shall say before the Lord your God, My father Jacob was a wandering Aramean, and he along with his family went down to Egypt and lived there as strangers, few in number, but while there he became a great, mighty, and populous nation. Where it says lived there. Other literature has the word sojourned. Verse 6. And the Egyptians treated us badly and oppressed us and imposed hard labor on us. Then we cried out to the Lord, the God of our fathers, for help, and he heard our voice and saw our suffering and our labor and our cruel oppression. And the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand and with an outstretched arm, and with a great terror suffered by the Egyptians, and with signs and with wonders. Verse 9. And he has brought us to this place, and has given us this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. Where it says flowing with milk and honey. This phrase referred to the abundant fertility of the land of Canaan. Milk, typically that of goats and sheep, was associated with abundance. Honey referred mainly to syrups made from dates or grapes, and was the epitome of sweetness. Bees' honey was very rare, and it was considered the choicest of foods. Okay. Verse 10. And now look, I have brought the first of the produce of the ground, which you, O Lord, have given me. And you shall place it before the Lord your God, and shall worship before the Lord your God. And you and the Levite and the stranger, resident alien, foreigner, among you shall rejoice in all the good which the Lord your God has given you and your household. Verse 12. When you have finished paying all the tithe of your produce the third year, which is the year of tithing, then you shall give it to the Levite, to the stranger, to the orphan, and to the widow, so that they may eat within the gates of your cities and be satisfied. Where it says paying all the tithe, this is a reference to a benevolence offering given every 3 years, called the tithe of the poor by the ancient rabbis. This was in addition to the storehouse tithe, brought to the sanctuary, and the pilgrimage tithe, used for the expenses of going to Jerusalem 3 times each year. Together, the Old Testament tithe amounted to 1/3 of the total. All right, verse 13. You shall say before the Lord your God, I have removed the sacred portion, the tithe, from my house, and also have given it to the Levite, to the stranger, to the orphan, and to the widow, in accordance with all that you have commanded me. I have not transgressed or forgotten any of your commandments. I have not eaten from the tithe while mourning, nor have I removed any of it when I was ceremonially unclean, making the tithe ceremonially unclean, nor offered any of it to the dead. I have listened to the voice of the Lord my God. I have done everything in accordance with all that you have commanded me. In verse 15 says, Look down from your holy dwelling above, from heaven, and bless your people Israel, and the land which you have given us, as you have sworn to our fathers, a land of plenty, flowing with milk and honey. Verse 16. This day the Lord your God commands you to do these statutes and judgments, precepts. Therefore you shall be careful to do them with all your heart and with all your soul, your entire being. Today you have openly declared the Lord to be your God, and that you will walk, that is, live each and every day in his ways, and keep his statutes, his commandments, and his judgments and precepts, and listen to his voice. Today the Lord has declared that you are his people, his treasured possession, just as he promised you, and that you are to keep all his commandments, and that he will set you high above all the nations which he has made, for praise, fame, and honor, and that you shall be a holy people, set apart and consecrated to the Lord your God, just as he has spoken. All right, so that is the end of Deuteronomy chapter 22 through 26 that I have shared with you.